Do the best businesses have to advertise? Not really. They let people come because they know they're the best. There are over 50 million immigrants in the U.S. today, and over 1 million more come each year to find a better life, and many of these immigrants come to Siouxland. Of these 50 million, here is the story of Oscar Sanchez. He is a Mexican immigrant who came to this country many years ago.
Imagine being a baby and coming over to the United States of America. When Oscar Sanchez was only 1.5 years old, he came to America.
Well, I came to America. It wasn't by my choice. I was a baby when I came over. So basically, my parents are the ones who decided to come to the U.S. We came into California, basically to have a better life. My father was a butcher in Mexico, and even though he had I believe it was a good profession, he still didn't make enough money to have a better future for his family. So we came here to have a better future and to get educated.
His parents wanted a better life for their family, so they got Oscar across the border by giving him to two friends of theirs who were an American couple, and they crossed the border with these.
I don't really know the hardships because I was a baby, but the only thing I kind of knew is my dad wasn't there for my birth because he was over in California working as a chef. So he was kind of trying to make enough money so he could have my mom and I come over to the United States. So at that time, that was a hardship. My mom missed my father, and it was difficult for her. She was living with his family, so it was, freshly married, a baby, no support from my dad, so it was kind of difficult for my mother. My dad knew his friends in California. They had already had their citizenship papers, so they were U.S. citizens. They were from Mexico also. So my dad kind of talked to them to see if they could meet my mom at the border. And I believe it was the El Paso border. I can't remember. So what the plan was is my mom gave me to the married couple. And the married couple, when they came over across the border, at that time it was just state year residency, and they said American citizen. And they didn't really need my birth certificate or anything back then. So they crossed me over just by saying they're American citizens, and since they thought I was their child, there was no questions asked. My mom was kind of behind the family just in case she got caught, but she came over and basically just said, I'm here to go to work. They didn't question my mom, so that's how kind of we got over to the U.S., to California.
Oscar's parents came here for many of the same reasons all immigrants come here for. They came here to build a better life by getting a job and making America their home. But when Oscar finally arrived to this country, he faced many challenges, such as adults discriminating against him because he was Mexican, saying that Mexican boys steal stuff.
There were a lot of Hispanics in Sioux City, so my brother and I used to go to some birthday parties, and I remember this day like it was yesterday. We were asked to leave because Mexican boys steal. We've always been told to speak English because this is America, and what people fail to realize is we can speak whatever language we want because it is America. So kind of things like that. I mean, girlfriends, I've had some girlfriends, and they were Caucasian at the time, and so my brother and I would be at their house, and dad would come home and says, you can't be dating any Mexicans, and stuff like that, were bad news. So that's kind of the stuff I kind of grew up with and kind of just learned to develop a thick skin.
Oscar says when I would go to my girlfriend's house, she was Caucasian, I would be sitting down and her father would see me and tell me to get out and that we couldn't see each other anymore.
I just knew it wasn't everybody, it was just a select few. So I kind of knew it was just ignorance on their part. And I really did. Yes, it kind of hurt, but I moved past that. So I just know that even going through North High School, there was times where people would say, hey Oscar, how about, not that there's anything wrong with these professions, but to say, hey, how come you don't go work at Tyson, or how come you just don't be a mechanic? Or I was never really told, hey, you can be a doctor, or, hey, you can be a lawyer. I was always kind of told kind of those hardcore labor jobs, why don't you go do that type of stuff? So I wasn't very influenced by some of the adults when I went to high school. And that's why the military helped me out.
This isn't an uncommon issue for many immigrants that come to the U.S., and Oscar dealt with it by shrugging it off and knowing it was just the ignorance of a few people. But even in the face of adversity, Oscar grew up doing more than what people expected him to do. He got some college education, he got a job working as a parole officer, when people would always tell him, why don't you just work at Tyson? He joined the military, serving our country, making it a better place for all of us.